let's head to Columbus, where the biggest visit of the past weekend was David Sanders, the #1 offensive tackle in America. He visited Ohio State for his second unofficial visit of the year, his third visit total. Steve, you caught up with the family of David Sanders after this trip to Columbus. What's the latest?
Well, they see Ohio State as a land of opportunity for David, with the track record of player development, the after college opportunity with Ohio State and the alumni, certainly the city of Columbus and what that entails, and getting around Coach Fry, Coach Day, seeing the coaching style of that program. This was his second visit of the spring. He's got an official visit set for June 21st. That may be his last visit of the process before deciding. And like I said on Monday, I think Ohio State is one of the front runners in this recruitment. Certainly, I think the same way about Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Now, Georgia is a program that is going to continue to make a major push. And there was a time where I loved where Georgia stood. Clemson's the childhood dream school. They lead off with the official visits May 31st. Then you get Georgia that second weekend. Alabama's in there. We could have included him in the offensive line section there. He has Bama on the short list. Then he gets back to Tennessee, and Ohio State, South Carolina already got their official. But Ohio State has momentum in this recruitment. Family likes it. He went there with his parents, his grandparents, and his little sisters, and they're starting to really like Ohio State a lot. And the Buckeyes definitely cannot be slept on in the David Sanders sweepstakes.
Do you think that we see any other unofficial visits kind of sneak in, or does he kind of hold off until official visit season starts?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if David Sanders, outside of his top 6, visited another program or two as he continues through his process and dots I's and cross T's. So we'll see what happens.
You've got a pretty good pulse on this one. What do you think is becoming like the most important factor for David Sanders and his family?
Well, I think player development is a major component for David Sanders. And then I think, with him being an A student, the degree and the support that athletes get from the academic support staff are things that will be key in this process. And then with every blue chipper, you also have the NIL component.
All right, Ohio State fans, tap in. Let me know how we feeling about David Sanders. Comment section below. All right, we're going to do a new segment here. It's called Things I Want to Ask Steve. And there's just a couple major developments this week I want to pick your brain on. What do you think of Chad Simmons' scoop on Jaime Ffrench, where he says that Texas is his leader? Do you think that the Longhorn hype is real? Can Texas hold on to this lead through National Signing Day?
I think after his recent visit to Texas, he definitely saw a place where he could be very successful for a coaching staff that has a track record of great offenses and great wide receiver play. Obviously, Chad was out in front of it, but since then I've talked to some people that also feel like Texas is a program that's trending here. LSU in the middle of it as well. Florida State's not going to go away on Jaime Ffrench, Tennessee. But Ohio State, that's where the RPM favors of Jaime Ffrench to ultimately land. And the dialogue still remains strong with Brian Hartline, Ohio State, and that coaching staff. And so he's expected to take an unofficial back up to Columbus this summer, then take an official during the season. So we'll see if Ohio State can regain lost momentum in this recruitment, or, sometimes recruiting is just funny in general. But right now, there are a lot of people led by Chad's report that think that Texas is a program trending.
All right, QB Keelon Russell, an early commitment to SMU. His recruitment has since blown up. Alabama, the most recent to offer. Ole Miss is a threat to flip. UF is a threat to flip. But Texas is sniffing around. They haven't offered yet, but they made him a priority. They were out to see him this week, one of the first prospects that they saw. Steve, in your opinion, if Texas offers, is this one over? Does Keelon Russell flip?
I'm not sure there, Josh. I think that Texas is good with their current quarterback, KJ Lacey. I think that he ultimately, as the way it stands now, I do not have him on flip watch. I know he's been on other campuses and keeping other schools warm, and other schools are keeping him warm as well. Ole Miss, Oregon, Auburn being a few of those programs. But I still think Texas is the heavy favorite for him. So I don't know if I guess the real question is Texas trying to take 2, or are they keeping Keelon Russell warm because KJ Lacey is keeping some other schools warm? I think that KJ Lacey ultimately ends up with Texas still. Or does Texas just say, hey, Keelon Russell's too good for us to pass up. We offer a scholarship to him and make him a major player. He absolutely likes Texas, but Ole Miss is a program that I have marked as maybe the biggest threat to flip him from SMU right now. They offered him before SMU. They've had him on campus a couple times already. Just had a great official visit. They think that program's about to burst. They really like Lane Kiffin. They really like Charlie Weiss and that offense and being around that program. So Ole Miss is in an interesting spot. Then he's got the upcoming visits to Alabama and Florida, and he has emerged as the top guy for both of those programs for where they're at in the process.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, 5-star offensive tackle Michael Fasusi. He said he's, quote, moving toward a decision. He told Chad Simmons that this week. One of the top available offensive tackles in America. And if you had to put in a pick in today, who would it be for?
I'd probably put it on Texas, but he took several visits to Texas A&M this spring, so I think the Aggies have made up a lot of ground there. And there was a time where I would have said Oklahoma leads for Fasusi. So I think they're in the top 2 or 3, but he's got a wide net out there right now. Colorado, Oregon, Georgia, some of the other places that he's taken recent visits to. Missouri's in the middle of it. Missouri's in the thick of it for several of these top offensive tackles as well. But Fasusi, if you're asking me today, I think I'd probably ride with Texas, but wouldn't be surprised if he picked A&M or Oklahoma.
All right, we got a couple commitments coming up that I want to talk to you about. De'Ari Hill, he's out of Belleville, Illinois. He's one of the top athletes in the country. He comes off the board Friday. Who are the main contenders, and who do you like for Hill?
Well, the RPM's on Oregon. He's recently visited the Ducks. He's been there twice this calendar year. He's one of their top targets regardless of position, and the intel remains the same. I like where Oregon stands with him.
All right, Kobe Sellers is coming off the board soon as well. He's out of the state of Texas, a cornerback, the number 20 ranked cornerback in the country. When does he decide? Who do you like for him?
Decides this weekend. At one point, I felt like Oklahoma was in the driver's seat, but after several visits to Texas A&M this spring, Texas A&M has moved into pole position, and I like where the Aggies sit with him going into his weekend decision.